Hi, welcome to Cazenovia College's second Google Hangout. Today we're going to be talking about the transfer admissions process, specifically applying, what we look for, what we need, how we evaluate your credentials for admissions to Cazenovia College. Now, for those of you that are new to the Google Hangouts that Cazenovia College will be offering, the format is presentation-like with a chat option. So during the chat later on there will be options for questions and comments. So if you see my eyes looking over here, I'm not necessarily distracted, but this is where the chat and comments pop up. So I will be answering those as they pop up, as well as after the initial presentation. As I mentioned, the purpose of these Google Hangouts is to inform students. Mine are specifically geared toward the student who is considering transferring from one college to Cazenovia College. And the purpose is to provide useful information, resources, directives to make that procedure a little cleaner, a little easier for them. It can be a daunting task, so anything that we can do to help, any information that we can provide to relax your fears, calm your nerves, and make it a more pleasant experience, that's what we're here to do for you. The Google Hangouts are part of a full series that will be happening between now as right through the fall semester and potentially into the spring semester, the new year. Now, these Google Hangouts are not just going to focus on transfer students. Our freshman students will have an entire series dedicated to exploring college, applying to colleges, visits, connecting with professors, current students, admissions counseling staff, everything that you're going to need to know as you start to navigate through the process. The very first thing that I wanted to point out to everybody is transfers. It's a different way of applying, in essence. But at Cazenovia, we have one application for all students. So it's not as if you have to submit a special application. Use our online application. It's free of charge, and it's easily submitted online at www.cazenovia.edu. Once you submit the application, you will receive an initial email that says we've received your application, and here's the additional items that are required to make your application complete. What we would require would be your official transcripts from your past colleges, and I'm going to touch a little bit more in depth on that in a second. Your official final high school transcript with date of graduation, and if you have a GED, we will need your formal GED score report. We require a letter of recommendation, and I will also touch upon that a bit more in a minute, and we require an essay. Now, the first thing I want to talk to you about are the college transcripts. We will require the transcripts, official copies submitted from the schools directly to us from all colleges that you have attended. We must have a complete documentation of your academic history. So even if you took one class perhaps at a local community college before you went on somewhere else, we still need that transcript for that one class. Not only does it help us create a more comprehensive academic history for you, it also will allow you to receive credit for that class if it meets the credit requirements. The official final high school transcript can be sent straight from your high school. It can also be faxed to us. As long as it has a signature and your graduation date on it, we will accept a fax. The recommendation is a piece of the puzzle that I do receive a lot of questions about. Students very often will say, how many recommendations do I need to submit? Who should I have these recommendations from? The purpose of the recommendation is to have an outside source, so to speak, speak to your character, your work ethic, and your potential to succeed at Cazenovia College. Very often these recommendations come from professors. They could also be from employers, past teachers in high school, or also people that you have a strong connection with in the community, perhaps if you do volunteer work or you're involved in a certain group, and that there's someone there who can really speak to your potential as a Cazenovia College student. The essay is another aspect that I get many questions about. What does it need to say? How long does it have to be? My answer has always been one that's not overly popular, but I always say it needs to be as long as it needs to be. But it needs to tell me something that is not already included on your academic credentials that you've submitted. Tell me a little bit about why you want to come to Cazenovia College. What drew you to Cazenovia? How do you feel Cazenovia is going to help you advance in the area of study? What is your ultimate career goal, and how can Cazenovia College help achieve that career goal? It goes beyond academics. Talk about a significant life experience or a person that influenced your decision to choose this field of study or to choose Cazenovia College. The more we can put together a story about you with your academic credentials, with what you have to say for yourself, what others have to say for yourself, the better we can review and evaluate and get a better understanding of who you are as a person and who you will be as a student if you ultimately choose to attend Cazenovia. When you should apply is also another very common question. We accept students for both the spring and fall semesters. The spring semester will begin in January, and the fall semester typically is at the end of August, or some people refer to it as September too. The January students should consider applying no later than October 15th. The issue with applying for a spring admission is the crunch time. You have begun perhaps your last semester at your current college, and you have until about middle of January to make a commitment, and there's a lot of things that need to be done in between. Gathering information for your application, getting that ultimate decision, getting the credit evaluation, working with counselors and faculty and financial aid to settle all those areas before you ultimately make a commitment on whether or not you wish to attend. So applying early and getting a head start on that is very important for January admission. Now, fall admission, you have much more time, but it is still critical that you do things in a timely manner. Students who are looking to transfer for the fall, I encourage you to submit an application at either the middle or end of your second to last semester, so the fall semester. So anytime between maybe November to December, get your application in. Then start working on gathering the additional information, the transcripts, the recommendation, your essays. After January 1st is the earliest when you would be able to apply for financial aid and gain a clearer picture of whether or not Cazenovia College is going to be an option for you. But in order for us to be able to start to work with you as soon as the new year starts in, and as soon as our financial aid staff begin working and evaluating students' eligibility for aid, having yourself accepted at that point and having all your paperwork in order is going to put you at the front lines to get that information sooner so you have more time to make a decision. When we get an application, there are many things that we look at. There are many things that we consider. Academics is certainly the very first thing. It's the most important. It's the most critical. You have to be able to handle the academic workload and the academic rigors that will be here waiting for you if you choose to attend Cazenovia College. We want to make sure that when I'm looking at a transcript, that you have taken and done well in foundational courses such as academic writing or mathematics, history, social sciences, the natural sciences. We want to make sure that you have begun to build a foundation, that you've done well, so you can carry that success here and continue to do well as you tackle the upper division courses and ultimately work toward completing your bachelor's degree. A lot of students will ask me, well, I'm not a bad student, but I don't have a 4.0. You don't need a 4.0 to be considered academically prepared to attend college. That's true for pretty much any college. What we want to see is consistency. We want to see that you've challenged yourself. If you have a C, even if you have a little bit lower, one instance, perhaps you didn't do so well, that's fine. Don't panic and don't let that deter you from applying to Cazenovia College. Talk to us about that. Why was that course so challenging to you? Do you think this is going to hurt you as you move on? And that's something that we would consider as well too. We would look at that and say, well, how is this going to hurt the student later on, or should we consider a discussion? Typically, it's very straightforward. Every student, no matter how strong they are, experiences bumps in the road. It's not a problem. What we want to do is we want to see how you rebound from them. We want to see the consistency that you start to build and the strong academic record that you have built for yourself, whether you're at a 2-year college or a 4-year school. So when we look at that, we look at all of that information, courses that you've taken, how well you've done. We also begin to look at what your professors or your past teachers are saying about you by reviewing the letter of recommendation. What do they see in you? What that we might not be able to see on a transcript. And it's the same is true for your essay. The transcript will tell us what kind of grades you received, but it doesn't tell you what kind of person that you are. It doesn't tell us that you are a volunteer, that you are an athlete, that you are someone who consistently asks for help and seeks out resources and strives to make that B an A, or strives to exceed the goals that the professors put before you. A professor, a teacher, a counselor will be able to tell us that. Your essay should also tell us that. Your essay will talk about how do you feel about yourself as a student? Do you feel you're a strong student? Do you feel you are a student who will succeed here? Are you the student who's going to come to Cazenovia and just take advantage of every single opportunity that we offer here? That's the kind of student we want to see. We have so much available for a student, and the students that demonstrate that they are ready to be here, that they want to be here, and that they are going to be completely devoted to the Cazenovia College experience is the student that we want to come here, because that's the student that's going to have a really great Cazenovia College experience. Now, one of the biggest aspects of reviewing your application and determining your eligibility for admission is then determining your level of scholarship. Most of our students who are accepted to Cazenovia College earn a certain level of scholarship. The scholarships are academically based. They are not based on finances or anything related to that. It is solely based on your academic performance. We have scholarships right now that are available for both students who will reside on campus as well as students who will commute. We have scholarships for students who are degree holders, associate degree holders. And we have scholarships for those who do not. We also will award a scholarship for a student who is transferring from perhaps another 4-year institution. The reality is, from time to time, we do have a student who has chosen another 4-year institution, and for whatever reason it has not worked out. And if that student chooses to come to Cazenovia College or apply to Cazenovia College, we still want to be able to offer them a competitive scholarship in order to recognize their academic achievements. A bad first experience does not mean that anybody should lose out on what they have earned and what they deserve. Once we determine your eligibility for admission and your scholarship level, that is when you will be notified by mail. We are traditionalists here. You will be notified by mail that you have been accepted, as well as what your scholarship level is. We often will give you a call before that letter hits the mail, and very often our students will call us and want to know the decision over the phone. That's fine. If you can't wait until the mail comes and you want us to tell you, we will do that. But we will touch base with you after your formal letter has been sent and go through the additional steps that will need to happen as you move into the next phase of admissions. The next phase would be financial aid. Now, I'm not going to go incredibly in-depth with financial aid today because there will be a completely separate Google Hangout at a later time to go over all aspects of financial aid. But one thing I will tell you is that as of January 1st, you may file the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, and you must also, if you're a New York State resident, file the TAP application at HESC.com. That's the Higher Education Services Corporation. So there are 2 different applications that you will need to submit in order to be considered for additional forms of aid beyond your scholarship. Once the new year rolls around and the FAFSAs and the TAP applications begin to be processed, at some point, it's typically in about February, that is when our financial aid, it's February, mid to late February, sometimes it gets into early March, but typically mid to late February, is when our financial aid award letters will be sent to all students who have been accepted. The award letter will include everything that you have been deemed eligible for. Your scholarship, any grants, TAP, state and federal aid. And it will also include a budget. At that point, that is when we would encourage conversations to have a better understanding of the letter, the charges, the full cost of what you are receiving, as well as what you are going to be expected to pay, forgive the term, out of pocket. We do offer very competitive financial aid packages, and most of our families find that what we offer covers a significant percentage of the cost, and it makes Cazenovia College a very affordable option for them. The other piece of the puzzle is visiting. Every single Google Hangout will emphasize the importance of visiting campus. Even if you have already visited campus, once you have applied or once you've been accepted, we strongly encourage you to make a second visit. Whether it's during the weekday visits, we have weekday visits from 8:30 until 5, whether you attend an open house, whether you attend one of our Saturday sessions, or even if you just pop up at our doorstep and say, hey, I'm here, can we have another look around? That's fine. Please consider a second visit. You will see things on your second visit that you did not see on your first. Questions will come up between your first and second visit that need to be answered so you can make the most informed decision on where to attend college. For transfer students, all of these dates and times are open to you too. You can come to our open house programs, our Saturday programs, our weekday visits. Our open house programs this fall are going to be on September 20th and November 8th. They are both Saturdays. We also have every Saturday, with the exception of 1 or 2 that fall around a holiday, every Saturday between now and December 6th, we are open for a campus tour and information sessions, and you can also meet with a counselor if you need to. If you are currently at a community college, I would encourage you to check your college's event calendar for both advising days. I do advising days at several community colleges in New York State in the fall as well as in the spring. You can look at when I will be on your campus and sign up to meet with me one-on-one. At that time, I can also do a preliminary credit evaluation for you. It's an unofficial evaluation, but it's at least something to get you started. Most community colleges also will host transfer fairs, so you should also refer to the college's calendar to determine when your college will be hosting that fair. If your college happens to not be hosting a fair in the fall, I would suggest that you speak to somebody in your counseling office to find out about regional college fairs. And if you just want to know where Cazenovia College is going to be, you can call us or you can refer to our website where the schedules of all of our counselors are listed by region. The next steps, after you have applied, you've been accepted, you've received a financial aid package, that's when you have to make the big decision of whether or not to attend. And that is really jumping far ahead of the game, because between acceptance, financial aid, and committing, there's many things in between that it's critical that you consider and address. Address with the counselors, address with our faculty, financial aid, your family. Everybody is going to be influential in your decision on whether or not to attend. Talk to us, call us, ask questions. I have emails and phone calls from students repeatedly. The same student will call repeatedly with one question. That's fine. If the question pops up, ask it. There are no silly questions. I'm seeing a few comments pop up on the side, and comments and questions, and they're very relevant to what we're talking about this afternoon. So I wanted to just take a moment to address those questions. The very first question that I have is about credit evaluations. And the first question is, do you accept a C-? At this time, Cazenovia College will accept grades with a C or higher. The question also leads into the credit evaluations themselves. The credit evaluation is also a critical piece of information that you will receive well before you have to make a decision, because that is a critical piece in making the decision. But there's a little tip that I need to put out there for you. It is not so much how many of your credits transfer over. It is how your credits are applied to the program you have chosen to study. You need to consider that at Cazenovia, as well as any other place that you're applying. You might look and say, oh, hey, they took 75 of my credits. That's fine, and that sounds great. But how were those credits applied within the program you chose? And look at the pathway to completion and compare the pathway to completion. And that is something that we would have you work with our faculty, like our program directors, about, to sit down and talk about what of your credits have come over, and how have they come over, and what does it look like for you? What does your pathway look like? Does it look as though you can complete our program in a 2-year time frame, or will it take an extra semester? There's a lot of different things to consider when you're talking about bringing over your credits. You don't want to lose out work that you've done, successful work that you've done. So we will provide that information very early in the process, so you have that piece of information to consider as you make your decision. Somebody has asked how many recommendations. We do not have, we need one. We need one good one. And but you can submit as many as you like. And the more that we see, the more of a complete background we have on you, a complete view of who you are. Certainly we hope at some point we meet you in person here on our campus or out on the road, but hearing other people's perspective about you as a person and as a student is very helpful. So the more you submit, it's fine. Minimum GPA. Hey, we didn't even talk about that. Minimum GPA. We prefer your GPA is 2.5 or higher. This does not mean that if you have a 2.4, you would not be accepted. We are looking for the student, again, who is going to be academically successful here and is going to transition from one college to the other without having challenges academically. So with a 2.5 or higher, you're in a pretty decent state. And also, 2.5 or higher is putting you into a different bracket for some very competitive scholarships. The higher the better. but certainly the 2.5 should be a guideline as you move forward. Also keep in mind that there are a couple of our programs that have field work requirements or student teaching, for example, that have a specific GPA requirement attached to them. So coming in lower than that requirement could put you at a disadvantage, and we want to prevent that. But that is also a conversation we will have at the point of admission if that situation arose. Someone said, what do I need to do to apply for financial aid? You do not need to submit anything separate with us, but you do need to file the FAFSA, and you do need to file, if you are a New York State resident, apply for TAP at hesc.com. That's a pretty quick turnaround for processing and receiving that information, so we can get a good picture, financial picture for you. And then the staff on our financial aid office will put together a complete financial aid package for you to review and make the decision of whether or not that's a viable option for you. Do I have to have an associate's? No. You do not have to have an associate's to transfer. There are a few of our scholarships that will require an associate's degree. However, you do not have to have an associate's. If you feel that you are ready to transfer and then you are ready to come into the four-year school, then you are more than welcome to do so. We will review you the same as we will every other student. We will not put you at any disadvantage because you do not have an associate's degree. And the other thing to consider is if a student is transferring perhaps from, again, the four-year school that is not an associate's degree granting institution, that they want to transfer to Cazenovia, we certainly want to be able to reward that student for good work and to be able to offer them a good academic experience here by bringing in their credits, by providing a good scholarship, and not placing the major emphasis on having to have a degree. The degree is preferred, and students who do have an associate's degree historically perform slightly better academically. However, it is not a requirement, so please also do not let that deter you from applying. The importance of visiting. There's a few questions here regarding when can I visit, how do I visit. If you'd like to visit, 1-800-654-3210, and our campus visit coordinators, Kaylee and Alyssa, will help set up any visit that you are interested in, whether it is the open house programs or a Saturday visit or a weekday visit. My advice to you would be, if you want to sit and talk with a counselor about credits, about your grades, about fears or concerns that you have, or more in-depth information on the program, I would encourage you to make a visit during the week when the counselors are more readily available to sit and have a one-on-one, but also our faculty are available. And if we have enough notice, we can typically make arrangements for you to sit and meet with the program director of your program, of your chosen program, so you can gather more in-depth information about the classes, the structure, internship opportunities, and career placement. Sometimes that is quite often our best resource, having you meet directly with the people that you're going to be spending a lot of time with in the classroom. And finally, one quick other question is, can I Skype or FaceTime an interview? And there was a second question, are interviews required? Interviews are not required but highly encouraged. The same as visits, not required, highly encouraged. If you're far away or your circumstances are that you cannot come in for an interview when you'd like to, we offer a Skype option. We can also do a FaceTime. We could do a Google Chat. So whatever is convenient for you, we are happy to make those arrangements for you. Those options can also be done on weekends as well as after office hours. Perhaps the evenings are a little bit more convenient for you, we can make those arrangements for you. But again, I'm circling back to the importance of actually visiting our campus and seeing our campus and our village, our students, our professors, our staff. It's important that you come here and get the feel of Cazenovia College. It's by far one of the most critical things you can do as you are applying and considering where to attend. I have a question from a student who is looking at spring. How soon should I commit? By committing, they mean if you said, yes, I'm going to attend Cazenovia College, there's paperwork, there's a tuition deposit involved, and when should you do that? My advice to you is to do that when you're ready, but don't do it until you've had conversations regarding your credits, conversations regarding the financial aid, and allow for us to explain all of it in detail. So you and your parents, your family, whoever is part of this decision can make the best informed decision, can be clear on the expectations, be clear on what you will need to do between the time you commit and the time you move in. And that will certainly help make the process for you much more pleasant than rushing or things popping up later on that you were not aware of. We try very hard to prevent that. And the last thing is for spring students, and this was a spring student who asked that question. For spring students, I encourage you to try to commit prior to the Christmas holidays. The school stays open during that time, and we're processing during that time, but there are many schools, there are many community colleges that will close for the duration of the holidays, and as well as high school. So if there's something we need in that meantime, it's very difficult for us to get it, and then it creates a crunch time. So you can apply as soon as apply whenever you'd like for spring, but try to shoot for making your final decision no later than Christmas holidays. So by the end of your final semester at school, you should be making that decision. Once we have that committal, that's when we work with you on getting you registered for classes and meeting with advisors to create the best schedule and put you on the most proper pathway. Housing is certainly very important. We do house students who come in the spring. We have plenty of housing options available. For the fall, your deadline, the National Tuition Deposit deadline date is May 1st, 2015. We will certainly accept your deposit, your contracts after May 1st, but in order to have all of your ducks in a row, the earlier the better. So try to shoot for that May 1st deadline. I'm looking to see if I have any more questions here. I don't have any more questions. Looks like we've gone about a half hour. The few more things I just want to reiterate is the next steps would be applying for the spring students as well as the fall students. Get your applications ready and your transcripts and start requesting